Aikido is a step-by-step martial art. It's improving all the time. Since its inception in England in 1955, the growth has happened probably in the last 10 years. So I think that Aikido will continue to grow, but I hope it doesn't lose its martial arts aspect. Because if it does lose its martial arts aspect, it's no longer Aikido.
I think there's been vast changes, and one of the biggest ones has really been the development of different training methods. When I began, like everyone else, it was very pressurised training, and I think we've become smarter the way we train. And I think that's the development, really, where instead of being dictated to by the Japanese, if you like, we're going to use them technically and so on, but we're running the show, you know, and I think that's very important.
Just having the pleasure of having known Kenshiro Abbe Sensei, and to be able to look back on those memories and to have known him, and as he's become such a respected figure as time has gone on, then I think that was just so special.
Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome you today to the National Sports Centre here at Crystal Palace on today a celebration of the life and Buddha of a man who is undoubtedly responsible for the influence and introduction of Aikido to the United Kingdom, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was a gentleman by the name of Kenshiro Abbe. On behalf of the organising committee, I hope that you really enjoy today's events. We are very honoured to have with us today some of the most respected British Aikido instructors, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to your teaching team, Mr. Henry Ellis, Mr. Hayden Foster, Mr. Ralph Reynolds and Mr. Derek Eastman, and last but not least Mr. Philip Smith, representing his father, Mr. William Smith. Please, thank you guys.
Before we start, I'd just like to say I've received so many messages from around the world, Australia, Canada, America, Europe, all wishing us the very best success for this event. People who knew Abbe Sensei, and only last week I had a message from Jerry Gingell, who was in Abbe Sensei's Olympic squad in 1963, and he wished us the very best and gave us a message of goodwill. When you see people taking knife, a lot of more experienced ones of you know what I'm talking about, but for some of you, a lot of people do this with knife. They want to take the wrist here to control it immediately. This is impossible, and most people, the blade is upside down so it can cut out. I have seen this in my experience 3 times. I have seen it happen. Never do this. Here, center. If you take here and then slide down, but you see his posture here. This is his weak direction here. And if you just push down slightly, down, and then in. If you push down, you'll get this. If you push down and in. Do you understand? Down and in. Right, come on. Okay. So, very slowly, very slowly. Yeah. From here, turn, up, keep it close. Right. Just with the fist, just pair up and try. Just once more. One, bam. Right. Pair up and try, please. Thank you.
What you have to do is you have to blend and do turn. Go. Hi.
With Abbe Sensei, his techniques was always very direct, very short, and very, very tight to the body. And he would always take the head. You take the head, you've taken the balance. You can twirl somebody around on one finger and keep twirling them around and then throw them. To take their balance, you need to take the head. So, when you take this one, bang, into here, then up, and take the head. We was always taught it's his responsibility to get out the way. It's not mine. Bang, take the head. So, don't do this. What I want you to do is it comes in. Don't come away from your body. If you take here and there's this distance in between your body, he can change direction. You must keep tight from here, bang, into. Okay? Do you understand? So, when you take this is not Kodo Gish. You're moving too much. You're turning here. No. Abbe Sensei always taught judo from jigatai. From here. Aikido from there. Jigatai, Aikido. Very strong posture. If your back heel was off like this, you're off balance. You don't have to twirl around and round. That back heel off the mat, you are off balance. So, don't do this. One. From here, as this comes in, just come in slowly. Yeah. And from here, don't try to take conventional Kodo Gish. Can you all see? Don't try to do this. Just take this into, and then into the face. So it's bang, bang, take. He's got no room to move. The bigger circle you make, the more room he's got. And Abbe Sensei, many techniques he taught, standing, you know, whatever he was doing, he wouldn't hit you, but he'd take your mind. He would take your mind, you know, into, and then, you understand? So when you take this straight into the face, now I haven't seen anybody here as good looking as me, so if you get hit in the face, nobody's going to moan, all right? My mother would, but yours won't. So as you come in, go straight into the face. Take it out. Right. 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 Be careful with this one. I've got a case at home with all arms hanging in it from all over the world. I want this. From here, cut. And as you cut, project. Everybody got that? Once more. Once more. Anybody got any questions? We've only got about a minute, so.
On that last technique, was you projecting into the elbow?
Underneath. Yeah, come in. It's always best if, yeah, they always are. You feel it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sensei.
With this technique, you must go, once the technique is here, it's what I call takeoff time. Once you're there, if you resist, you'll never play the piano again, right? And if you couldn't play it before, you've got a better chance. Right, any other questions? Somebody else wanted to ask me something. Same question. You want to try it? All right. No other questions? Okay. Right. Sitting nicely. Thank you very much.
Class. Okay, so it's an honour to be here anyway, isn't it? And see some friendly faces. So relax, sit down and relax. Every class I take in Aikido, I begin with the same thing. Doesn't matter if somebody's done it before. If I come to take my class, I do the same thing. And the first thing I do is from here. Aikido is progressive. You can't start in the middle, you've got to start at the beginning. Does everybody understand that? And the beginning of Aiki is this. And once you understand about body turning from this position, you will begin to understand the intricacies of Aiki. Because to make anything happen here, I've got to move. Does everybody understand? I've got to move. He's here, he's in the position. So I must move correctly. So the first movement always is Taino Henko, and which is this and this. Align your toes. Don't do this. Enter, as it says, align your toes and turn. Enter, align your toes and turn. You know, I could spend all day just teaching you this technique, which I don't think you'd appreciate very much. But let's get it right. I said to you, to make this thing active, I've got to move. Can everybody hear me? Well, I must move. He's not going to. He's solid. So you must do it correct. Don't do this and try to think you can. You can't do that. You've got to align yourself with him first. Then you can do anything you want. Whatever you want, you can do. So don't try and do this. First align yourself and then you can. Right. So now we go to the next stage, which they call flexible. If you study your various videos or books, you'll find all this is in there to explain. So I go into the flexible situation, which as soon as he takes, I move. So this becomes now flexible, stage up from the solid. Always nice and easy, and always relaxed. All the time think to yourself, I am developing. If I'm moving correctly, I will develop. So it's only a matter of turning nicely, coming back and turning nicely. Okay, let us try. So now, instead of taking this leg to the back, we leave it to the front here. Now when you do this, turn completely round like this. Don't do that. Does everybody understand this? Turn completely round. And then of course lifting it set. Completely round. Nothing changes. When we move up the next section, nothing changes. Because we moved on to the next movement, which we say flexible, It doesn't change. I can't do this. Still turn. Then I can make technique. Correctness of technique from the basic, you will carry right through your career in Aiki. Then turn. Then turn. Some of the golden rules of Aiki are very explicit, and one of them is I cannot lead his power, if I use that expression, until I have joined it. Does everybody understand that? I'm sure you all, well, I can't join it. If he comes to take, I have to join it. And that's why I do that. Now I'm joined his power, now I can redirect his power and I can make technique. Does everybody understand? Good. So now, if I want to go one step higher, to make Kinagari, I now do this. Do you understand? Exactly the same, nothing alters, the movement is the same, the only thing is now I'm leading him here. You understand? Now we are doing Kinagari. He's reaching. Oh. Do you see how Aiki becomes? So from this attack, I bring him out to defend. Now then, this is very dangerous, isn't it? He can come, he can hit me, he can strike, he can kick, or whatever. So I've got to get out of the way. So when we make, add your other hand here. As I go to the side, atame. And I move off the attacking line here. The way of the bokan. Straight up, turn, and put down. You understand? The turning, when you use the bokan, we haven't a lot of time obviously today, but if you use them, the turning for the directional cuts is so important. I know you can't all hear me, but you can see anyway. But atame here, off the line. Bokan. Sorry. Hate. I know Sensei Abbe showed you quite a bit of this, but this is the way I find it very well performed. Here, taking it back, that's it. One more. Again. Here. When you make, if you notice, I made a turn. When we was doing the Taino Enko, I made a turn. So what you bear in mind is you never practice Aiki to one person. Because you are not trained to be only aware of one person. You are trained to be aware of always somebody there. That is what your training is. So to be honest, so why we do this? If in this way, the fashion of Aiki sword, I will repeat. I know we have a wonderful performance coming later from a Kendo, but what we do is Aiki sword. So when you make this movement, here, that's because this one can avoid it, I suppose, if you like that. But everything you do, same as when we was doing the beginning, so be aware of that all the time. And this here, I make here, come back and come on, let's center. What do you play? But it's very, very difficult to make technique of Koto Gaish. Koto Gaish means to twist the wrist. Very, very difficult from here. I can make this. I can make this. But that isn't Koto Gaish. That's Kokyu Nagi or Kokyu Ho, whatever. Here, here, the thumb, opposite your center. Leg and still with look. Now, to engage, I must use my hips. This is our training. Bokan, Jo. Body technique, that's the training. Hips. Controlled by the hara. Eight. Eight. Tenchi. Eight. Tenchi, right direction. See? Nice. Hey. One more, left side. Hey. That way our posture is triangular and our entrance when we go into our opponent is also triangular. I mean, obviously, if I just show you, can't do this. I mean, I can't do this. You see, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Impossible. So I enter triangularly. Height. Now I can make the technique. Does everybody understand? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
My basic Irumanaiki does vary somewhat to the traditional. I agree with the traditional. What I don't like about the traditional is the old style was when he took hold, the first thing you did was to push down. The theory being that he would push back up. In all the years I've been practicing Aikido, I never found anybody who took him down, helps me and pushes back up. It don't work. You see, if he's standing upright with a lot of weight, standing on his feet, if I pull down, I don't disturb his balance. If I want to disturb his balance, I raise his hand up, and it's so easy then. Okay? That's all it needs. It doesn't need up. And you want him on the point of balance. You don't have to have him off balance. That's where you want him. All right? So if you're doing both hands, hold that for me. I'll try and talk to you. One, if you're using both hands, round and over. Okay? That's my basic I like that, that's better. I always like to hear Uki moan. You know it's good. All right, do you understand what I mean? If it's down here, it's difficult to disturb his balance. If you just raise it a little bit, he's away. And the closer you get in, if I'm turning around with him now, I'm turning at the same speed. If I go off the line a bit here, he's got to get faster. He has to travel faster to catch up with me. And that's what you do, you bring him in. That's my basic Irumanaiki. So here, through the mat. You do it nice and soft, he'll go through the mat anyway. The easiest thing in the world is to put somebody through the mat. You don't need to do that. Bang. gone. A lot of power if you're nice and soft. Just try one of us, all right? Try first, point of balance. See how easy it is. Then move round, take a minute, all right? Come on in. Trouble with a lot of iriminagi, you say, what does iriminagi mean? It means to enter. So they stop about here. They stop about here. Then try pulling him around. You don't pull him around. First thing you step in, whoop, past him, all right? You all have if you work on the centre line, you've got a centre line. You want that centre line past your centre line. So when he comes, you step in, past it. Okay? That's entering, not standing there like this. All right? You want movement, you turn your head. That's the way you get movement. Very important your head turns. All right? Turn the head. Just try turning the head a bit more, okay? Come on then. If you get someone standing up, if you can't see, come around here. If you imagine there's a straight line down there and a straight line down there, right? Your centre line is from the top of the head right through the middle of the body, through the one point to the floor. That's important. More important, your centre line. That gives you posture and balance. Okay, a good technique, so that's important. Anything outside the lines, if somebody came at you with a knife and they caught you, you've got every chance of survival. If they come in between those two lines, your chances are far less, right? Outside those lines, you get away with it. Inside, no chance. That's where the vital area is, inside those two lines. It's very, very important. If we use the other hand, and we think centre line, what we've got to do is to move, all right. When he comes in, too many people start these techniques static. You can't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. I'm too close now for him. Okay? You've got to make him come. So if I stand here, he comes. All I have to do is a lateral step, and he's gone. Right? Lateral step, it means what it says, sideways step. Knees bent, bang. You don't have to turn and look at him at all. Just see it, gone. All right? Now I've just talked to a gentleman over here, asked him if he liked the people he was practicing or he hated them. What are you trying to stick them through the mat for? You always remember, if you're vicious to an uke, uke's going to have his turn. Okay? There's no point. That's not what Aikido is about. It's soft, gentle, a lot of power. The softer it is, the more gentle it is. Believe it or not, the more power you have at the end of the technique. So all you do now as it comes is lateral, right? And what you're trying to do is get his centre line beyond your centre line. No good here, you want it here. And the way you get that is this action through. And you turn it, you don't get hold of it, then say, now I'll turn it. That's too late. It comes in, gone. It's as simple as that. Oh, get on. Right? So, now what we're going to do now is straight in. Okay? Still going that way. You don't turn, you don't need to turn, you're going in. And as you go in, you deliver the technique. It does this, it goes in, straight in. All right? Use your other, I'm not using the other hand because I've got this thing stuck in it. All right? Come on. If you can remember, knees bend. If your knees bend, your waist, your hips will travel further. Turn your head. If you turn your head, greater extension. And that's what you're looking for all the time, is extension. So if I want, I'll just move him around here. Whoops. No problem. Now it doesn't require effort. It's pure extension. All right? Application, turn your head, look where you're going, then it will work. If you remember that, always look where you're going, go where you're looking. Coordinate your hand and your eye. Okay? Your hand will travel further very often than the eye, it doesn't matter. As soon as it's out of sight, bing, it comes back. Right? If you let it happen naturally, you don't try to force it, then you'll get your technique will be right. Okay? Right, that's the end of my session. Can you line up, please? Thank you very much.
Yeah, come on. So from here. One. Gets tighter these days. First from the drawing of the sword or the bokken. Have you all got one? Please? Yeah, if you come from the corner, I think. Just to establishing, really for the displays of that time, of the forward direction. The first technique we learned at the hut for Shiranagi was always from Shomanuchi. Then Tadashi Abbe took the ribs and the technique. Same. Yeah. Here, it's difficult to take using the wrist, so we take the whole bokken. Here. Nice one. That's why we practice with wooden. So again, first technique of the hut, I'll say, will come from techniques from Kenshiro Abbe. Here. This way. Tadashi Abbe's Sensei was here. I'll show again. Okay? Nakazoro Sensei was here. Noro Sensei is here. Did you all understand Tadashi Abbe? Always remember, always swap hands as you land. Makes the technique better. Oh. Here. Again, first technique you learnt of the hut. Sensei Abbe always made this one. Nakazono Sensei always this one. Noro from this one. Please practice Harumanagi. Get your head down, Mr. Jason. I should have thought you'd have learnt by now. Come on, Peter. On, yeah. Again, first technique on a Monday night for Kaitanagi. Here. This movement. Sensei Abbe, move more. To here. Nakazono. More. Noro Sensei. Here. He altered, Noro, his actual throw for Yukibi. Because one day he went to throw this way and that head came up into his. So from then on, the technique was much, much cleaner and you'll find much, much more powerful. Thank you. Practice your Kaitanagi. Okay. Yeah, I will finish now because I'm running late and Mr. Philip Smith will take over and I hope you give him as much support as you've given me. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Gakuhamni. So basic beginning from Gakuhamni. So, basic first action, a moto irimi. Then, like you did with Mr. Foster, Tenkan. Hey, try please. In groups, some of you, a little bit stranded here. Yeah. Shinagi is one of my favorite techniques, but it's also one of the techniques I dislike the most. Because as a result of Shinagi, that's as far as I can lift that arm, and that's as far as I can lift that arm. So, be very aware about your entry. This has made me change my technique for the better, I hope. I can't stretch I can't pick him up. That's it. So I have to enter with my body. That way, like Mr. Reynolds said this morning, I can get to his center, then cut him down. Okay, ski. So basically, exactly the same, but of course, I have to create the opening for myself. Don't show me. So, Tenkan, here. Sorry, I didn't mean to shout at you. Elbow down. Project. You to me? It's Emmy. Yeah? Right, dry press. This guy's been training with me for nearly 20 years, and every time we train, he's trying to kill me, you know? So it's exactly the same idea. Slowly. This way, please, Tom. But Timmy. Showman. Yeah. So, slowly. 1, 2. Don't confront it. At this point of the attack is really strong, so try to make it here. Sorry, Tom. No space. Yeah. Showman. Hey, try please. What I'm trying to do every time is just get back to I Hamni and Gaku Hamni. And that, I'll stay here. That's the basis of the Aikido. All I'm doing is a technique from what used to be called, when I began, Form 1, Form 2, I Hamni, Gaku Hamni. So everything else is designed to get me to that position. Yeah? Can you see that, Sam? So from Yoka Minuchi, from here, I'm now in I Hamni. If I go to make Ura, then I'm in Gaku Hamni. Yeah? So all I'm doing through the body movement is trying to get to that, back to that basic position. Does that make sense? Okay. So if we do the same thing from Marotidori to two hands, we've got to get back to I Hamni position. Here, Stay still. I'm striking. That's what she's doing. Okay? So this initial movement's a temi. Yeah? That's right. Sorry. Here. No. There. Yeah. There. Oh, sorry. Hey, try please. Not the last one. Show me Jubilee. Same position. Yeah. And like Mr. Ellis said this morning, in my experience, people don't jump off for you. Yeah, doesn't happen. But what they do is they try to get you round the side, like that. Yeah? Yeah? Another one who's been trying to kill me for 20 years, huh? Showman, not your coming. Yeah. Here. Down. Down. This one's a bonus. This does the damage. That's a bonus. Yeah? Elbow down. Look. I don't need the other one. Okay, I hamni. That's it. Ikkyo. Yeah, tight. Strong guy, yeah? I'm not going to wrestle him. What I'm going to do is poke his eyes out. Can you hear me? No. Come closer. Come closer. That's it. Okay. Tight. Not going to happen. Yeah? So I'm turning, thrusting. Excuse me. Don't have children, they give you nasty germs and diseases. Yeah. Same way as we just did for Inuminagi. I drop my elbow, turn my hip, then it's there. But it has to be, look, to his head. If I'm here, I haven't got his body. Head. then I can finish. So Ikkyo and Mote. We'll do them a Mote and Ura separately. Ikkyo and Mote comes from here. Oh. That, if he doesn't have the tension here, that's straight into his face. That's why he doesn't let go. Because if you look at it, that's a ridiculous situation. Why would he hold on to my wrist? But if he lets go, let go, bang. Yeah? So that's the direction. Here. Yeah? Hip turn. Then look, nice big gap for me to enter in to do what I want. Yeah? But we do Aikido, which is nice and pleasant and harmonious. So we don't kick him like that. Not unless he'd really upset me. Yeah? But we mustn't forget, Aikido is a martial art. It was created by people's lives being lost. So we have to respect that. Also, if you deploy it as a martial art, it works so much better. Sensei once said to me, the best way to show compassion is having the power to destroy, but not destroying. And that's what you should try to achieve. I'm not saying I've got the power to destroy him, I'm not saying that. But there's no greater love, you know? There. Yeah? Same direction, look. Create Ikkyo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honour to have with us today such distinguished and honoured guests. And it is my pleasure to respectfully present to you, on behalf of the Japanese Embassy, Mr. Mutai, Councillor and Director of the Japan Information and Cultural Centre, who will now address the seminar. Thank you, sir. Go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this memorable occasion of 50th anniversary to the introduction of Aikido into the United Kingdom. It is my highest honor to be with you to celebrate 50 years of Aikido in this country. I am also thrilled to see so many guests from the whole range of Budo disciplines, including, of course, Aikido, but also Judo, Kendo, Karate, and so on. May I also say how happy I am that these celebrations have been included under the banner of 2005 EU-Japan Year of People-to-People Exchange. More than 100 events have been arranged for the United Kingdom so far, which shows the healthy level of interest in this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, as we meet today, it is clear that the relations of Japan and UK have never been better. This is not something that has come out of the blue, but it reflects the enormous efforts and dedication of the people and organizations on both sides. Perhaps we can gauge the extent of the progress in our bilateral relations and of the significance of achievement we are celebrating today by considering what the world was like 50 years ago, just 10 years after the end of World War II. In Japan, at that time, people were living from hand to mouth, quite literally. The country had still not recovered from the devastation of war, and relations with the outside world were at rock bottom. There were no smooth lines of communication between here and Japan. Air travel linking the two countries was almost non-existent. It must therefore have required a tremendous amount of energy and time for Mr. Abe to plan and realize a trip abroad. Nonetheless, despite such trying circumstances, he did whatever it took and made his way to the United Kingdom. I understand that this trip was made possible thanks to the invitation from the London Judo Society. It must have required enormous courage for the society in such acrimonious circumstances to issue an invitation to someone from a country with which the United Kingdom had recently been at war. I would therefore like to pay tribute to the perseverance and determination of both Mr. Abe and the London Judo Society in making his visit possible. The fact that the London Judo Society identified Mr. Abe and nobody else as the person to be invited showed the extent to which he already stood out at that time. And no wonder. Born in 1915, he started judo at the age of 3. He was awarded the 5th dan when he was only at age 18. It was the earliest or youngest. His progress continued, and in 1945, at the age of 30, he reached the level of 7th dan in judo and 6th dan in kendo. In 1949, he took up the position of chief instructor to the Kyoto Police and Doshisha University. After Mr. Abe came to London, his road was by no means smooth. On the contrary, it was full of ups and downs. First of all, he was obliged to sever his links with the London Judo Society due to a disagreement concerning their approach to martial arts. Then, during his absence between 1964 and 1969, when he came back, he found that his judo council embarked on a course that was contrary to his philosophy. However, during such a turbulent life, he constantly adhered to the philosophy undermining all the martial arts, whether judo, kendo, karate, or aikido, and whatsoever, which emphasizes spiritual harmony. Mr. Abe promoted aikido in word as well as in deed. He has left quite a legacy here in the United Kingdom, where the traditional martial art of aikido is such rude health. I am sure he would be delighted to see you all, six of the old blocks, celebrating the 50th Jubilee today. In fact, if I may paraphrase a Japanese expression, I dare say he is smiling in his grave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Mr. Motai from the Embassy for his wonderful speech. Thank you very much, sir. In addition, we have several distinguished guests which I would like to introduce to you today. In no particular order, we have, on behalf of the British Aikikai, Mr. Joe Curran. Be there somewhere. Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Bushido Zazen International Society, Mr. Arnold Davis. As a direct student of Kenshiro Abbe Sensei, Mr. Eric Dollimore. I would also like to just add to that Mr. Dollimore was one of the very first Aikido Yudanshu within the United Kingdom. So I think that's an important fact to remember. On behalf of the Teishin Kai Aikido Society, part of the United Kingdom Aikikai, Mr. and Mrs. Keith Haywood. On behalf of the British Kendo Association and the Hizen Foundation, Mr. Jeff Hum. I'm not quite sure whether Mr. Hum has arrived as yet, but Mr. Hum will be presenting the Kendo demonstration later today. On behalf of the Abertillery Aikido Dojo, Mr. Nigel Jones. On behalf of the National Aikido Federation here in the United Kingdom, Mr. Michael Neary. And it is with some sad regret that Mr. Pierre Chassin from the National Aikido Federation in France cannot be with us today. For those that don't know Mr. Chassin, he is 86 years old, one of the first Frenchmen, in fact first Europeans, to practice Aikido with Tadashi Abe Sensei in France when it was introduced into Europe in 1952. But he does send his regards and his support for the event, and he sends his apologies for not being able to be here today. On behalf of the British Judo Council, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Robin Otani. On On behalf of the Judo Association of Holland, which also has an Aikido section within it, Mr. Schruten. Representing Sport England, Mr. Philip Don. On behalf of the Dainippon Butokukai in Japan, Mr. Roger Payne. And it is indeed a pleasure to welcome Mr. Bill Stopps, an aide to Matsutaro Atane in 1947. On behalf of the International Federation of the Seishin Kitaido, Mr. Ken Waite. Personal aid to Kenshiro Abbe, Mr. Bill Woods. Not that I wish to embarrass Mr. Woods, but I think it's also important for us to know that Mr. Woods was hugely influential in the development and the promotion of martial arts within the United Kingdom in the very early days, certainly within the 50s and onwards. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. As the British and European World Masters Champion, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mrs. Jenny Earle. And last but not least, it's my pleasure to introduce to you today Mr. Ed Prosser from Marubenai Corporation in Japan. I offer my deepest apologies to Mr. Cotier. For some reason that he's not on my list. Representing British Aikido Federation and the Hong Kong Aikikai, I offer both my apologies and my greatest appreciation to Mr. Ken Cotier. My apologies, sir.
afternoon. I hope you can all hear me. Before we start, I just wanted to give you a little brief explanation of the 4 cuts used in Kendo, so what you'll see later on makes an understanding. Basic target areas is the head, which is referred to as the knee, kote the wrist, lower the waist, and there's only one thrust, and that's the thrust of the throat. So firstly, slowly, a main cut, and you can see the target area. What's important is that the right foot, the ki and the cut land simultaneously. Next, cut to the wrist, first is kote. Next to the stomach or the bone protection, go. won't always let you attack that easily. They're standing on a Churankamai position, so you have to break center. See how they hang. Obviously, combinations of various combinations of these cuts. Kote, Subiade, men. And lastly, one ski to the throat. Also, all these techniques can be done going backwards. And now we're just going to show you some of the basic exercises that you'd come across in any Kendo dojo if you were to visit. As you can see, there's no segregation, no age differences when practicing Kendo. So after a period of time learning all the combinations and techniques, then it's up to you how
No flash photography, please.
They just can't have it right.